surviving a life-threatening situation, you know. And so you can see the intrusion into the spinal cord area. But what happens is at that point in the L3, the cauda equina, it's just a bag of cerebrospinal fluid with a few threads of, threads of nerves there. So it just displaces the bag, you know. So I was incredibly lucky. And so was Allison. We feel so incredibly grateful. Yeah. And this painting was actually in the accident, and last I saw it was on the side of the road when we, but it was halfway done. Some good soul had put it back in the car, and I was able to finish it. And this is just a couple weeks ago, the honoring of the Shulgins and their alchemical angels at the MAPS psychedelic conference for psychedelic science.
About them?
Sasha Shulgin was a chemist at Dow Chemical, and he created a herbicide that was biodegradable for them, and he made them so much money that they loved him so much that they said, Sasha, what would you like to do? We'll give you anything you want. And so they got him a Schedule I license because he was really interested in making psychopharmaceuticals. And so he devised about 250 of them before they stopped him. And we'll take back that
it's like taking back the grape
license.
Right?
Yeah. And but meanwhile, he had published them in two books, Pical and Tical. Now, Pical means phenethylamines I have known and loved, and Tical means tryptamines I have known and loved. So the chemical angel, the alchemical angel that they hold there is an MDMA molecule, which he brought back into a really important new synthesis of this chemical, brought it back into the consciousness of the culture. And his wife is a therapist and was using it with patients and getting tremendous benefits until it was, and many people were having real breakthroughs in family therapy and people facing, their own death and things like that. And now, after it has been illegal for a long time, they finally have many programs going on around the world, and many for the soldiers returning from Iraq.
Right here in the U.S.
Yes, they're having real success with post-traumatic stress syndrome by the use of MDMA or ecstasy and therapy in order to recontextualize
of course,
these
in a
experiences.
Controlled environment.
Absolutely.
And with precautions and all of that. And as Daniel Pinchbeck also mentioned in his conversation, that these things can be misused and abused, and no one here would ever recommend doing that.
Absolutely not. And in fact, that some people are not constituted in a biochemical sense for these kinds of substances either. And so a kind of willy-nilly approach to this without serious investigation into it can really be harmful to people. So they need to really understand a lot about these things. And we never really recommend psychedelics to people, but I have always just tried to tell the truth about my own experience with them. And for me, I feel like they're part of a revolutionary new method for artists to be able to tap into the mystical visionary worlds that all the great sacred art traditions are based on. And this is a dependable, repeatable means of accessing this, as Blake called it, the divine imagination.
And Daniel Pinchbeck writes about many of those traditions if people want to know more about that.
Yeah. So this is the land there, 40 acres, and right in the, I always imagined this archetypal kind of goddess figure placed over the land, and right in the heart of the goddess there is exactly where we're going to build the chapel. And 50 years ago, the United Church of Christ acquired this property, and at that time they proposed to build a chapel in exactly the same point. They never were able to, but I think that the land called us there to
Carry it
bring
on.
forward some kind of chapel building. Yes.
So with that, we'll conclude our dialogue. Thank you, Alex.
Thank you, David.
And we have a microphone. We're going to open it up to questions, but we'd like you to use the microphone that we're passing around so we have your voice recorded for our filming. So
Testing.
we have a question over here.
Let me just pass it down.
I think she'll just pass the microphone over there, please.
I guess I have three questions. My first one, is it possible to reach your level of consciousness without the use of psychedelics or hallucinogens? My next question is, do you think we have an obligation to everybody who hasn't reached this level of consciousness, or should we select individuals we feel are capable to accept this information? And also, is giving too much information too early possible? Because I have a daughter, 10 years old, and I find myself trying to expose her to everything that I feel I should have been exposed at that time. And sometimes I wonder, am I damaging, her perceptions right now too early, or am I, doing something positive, or is it negative?
Well, I think that you have to consider the culture that you're within. And if you're talking about dosing a 10-year-old, I think that's probably not the greatest idea. If you're in the Huicholi culture, though, and they always get to have a little peyote along with the rest of the ceremony, or if you were in the Native American church and it was appropriate in the family kind of context, or if you were in any of the Santa Daime religions with ayahuasca that have a context within the family and within a church kind of sacred setting, they have ways of introducing children into those states of awareness. These are proven to be some of the least harmful in terms of toxicity, drug toxicity. But the ontological panic that can result to some people from the use of these substances makes them a dangerous and harrowing kind of means of accessing these states of awareness. So as regard to the first question, I can just say for what's happened to me, and I think that after reading Self-Liberation Through Seeing with Naked Awareness, and no drugs or anything like that, but this was a direct transmission from the Guru Padmasambhava. It was such a powerful awakening force that came through that I had as striking a visions as I'd ever had on any psychedelics. And that was the basis of the Nature of Mind painting, that 7-paneled altarpiece. So I think that you can access the divine through all means, and certainly no one is suggesting that it's necessary to do these substances. I wish there were more kind of friendly contexts for people to understand these sacraments, In Mexico, in Oaxaca, there's the tradition of the curandera. And when you have a question about the nature of your health or about something that's been freaking you out or something, you might go to them and you might trip together. And they might see things, and you might see things, and it's done within a healing context, And so I think that you access different kinds of awareness through the use of the psychedelics, or as I like to think of them, the entheogens, because it can open your eye and your mind to God, and that's their ultimate purpose, to my mind. And yes, you can access it through any of many different ways, like the meditation. That's the royal road. You know, you can use the prayer. All the different wisdom traditions have great spiritual practices, and all of them actually work if you can apply them, you know.
My first question was in reference to other adults who haven't had the opportunity to just order but the one in reference to my daughter, I'm giving her information about internet. That's different.
So are you basically asking what you should explain to your daughter or what you should not explain?
I was asking separating. The first was in reference to adults, and the last.
I think just show her pictures, you know. I mean, if, this is a suggestion of the potential realms of consciousness, and these were reports from the edge, you know, of my own visions. And and I think that looking to other visionary artists as well, there are many depictions, and looking at sacred art as well. There are angels, you know. I think a 10-year-old would love to continue to understand about the nature of angels and how important they've been to the founding of all world religions. And it's a great time to tell her the sacred myths and stories of all the different traditions, too. You know, introduce her to God through a lot of different lenses, and we don't turn off then to one particular lens or another. We can be more of a family, you know.
We have a question up front here. Where's our microphone?
Hi, Alex. First, I'd like to say I'm happy to see you alive and recovering from your car accident. But my questions are, when you're experiencing with hallucinogenics, do you normally paint while experiencing that, or do you have the visions and do them later? And what do you have in advice to younger artists who are, you know, struggling?
I would not usually recommend tripping and then trying to paint, you know, coherently and stuff. But there have been experiments that, you know, painters who have done so and are experienced painters have had a great time doing it, you know, and they have felt like their work was very creative in the wake of that. Oscar Janiger's scientific studies in creativity and the use of LSD have been, you know, fairly interesting in that regard. But as far as recommendations, I think that just, you know, my own sense was ignited when I just started carrying a sketchbook all the time. I just never wanted to stop carrying the sketchbook. You know, Eli's got my sketchbook up there in his bag, you know. I feel a little naked without it, you know. But I go around and I make little notes and I make little drawings, and this is for me the lifeline as an artist, you know. It's like you have to honor the visions that come to you when they come to you. And so I like to try and carry around a book so that I'm ready just in case, you know, something comes, because you can never expect, you know, like when is
Right, and it's not
when's
necessarily
an
something
angel going to
drug-induced.
come
It's just
and
an
kiss
epiphany
you.
you may just have
It
at
can
any
happen.
moment.
Exactly. It can happen at any time. I remember waiting on a train, you know, and just kind of exhausted after teaching all day. And there's this sculpture of the world soul, you know. It's just like, oh my God, it's a sculpture, it's not a painting, oh my God. And I kind of like saw it in my mind's eye there on the platform at 42nd Street. And I spent the next 2 years doing it, you know, so it can happen in a flash and you never know when it will happen.
Okay, we have lots of questions. I guess, Katie, are you going to? Okay.
Personally speaking, I had been diagnosed with bipolar disorder at a very young age, so I have two questions. What is your take? What is your take on mental illnesses and spirituality? And do you think it's attainable for the individual that's suffering with such to achieve spiritual transcendence without medication?
I don't know. I think that's it's a question that only the person who's going through it could answer. I don't think that there's any reason to be limited by any statistics on the matter. It may you're a unique individual. Your unique self may be able to navigate your own condition in a completely unique way. And if you use it as an energy and understand what kind of medications may be helpful in balancing things out, because, you may have something really important to gift the world with. So you don't want to get into the depths of despair that, that may push you over the edge to off yourself. And one of the things that I found interesting from a fellow who wrote about depression, because that was kind of the thing that had always haunted me, was suicide comes about oftentimes when a person wants to disidentify with all that they've become identified with. And so if there was a way of committing what he called egocide, rather than offing your physical body, which has done you no harm usually, really. And so it's something that you have to find your own rites of passage. So I designed my own kind of, these performances for me were very much kind of ritualistic, pushing me beyond my levels of comfort to incorporate new aspects of selfhood and bring my concerns to a more global or even cosmic, perhaps, kind of dimension. So maybe there's a way of contextualizing your situation, but you should look at all the options, including the standard medical options, as well as all the herbal and health things, all the things about changing your diet to the most healthy diet possible, looking at all the aspects of how you integrally live your life and what could support a condition that would optimize your own path in life.
Thank you.
Yeah, good luck. Yeah.
So we have a question right up front here, if you'll pass the mic.
I was wondering if your artwork, while you create it, if you ever create anything that kind of is so scary to you that you don't know exactly how you're going to share it with the public. Like if you have visions that are so terrifying that if you keep those to yourself, or if you equally share the positive visions of light and love as with perhaps darker ones, or maybe you don't have darker ones, but if you could just kind of address that.
I don't know how you would class this particular image. But I try to put images of trauma in relationship to a context of healing. That would be that's why I like this painting. It is, something happens, it's sequential art. It goes from a more repressed, and in psychedelic literature, it would be birth perinatal matrix number 2, to take Stanislav Grof's analogy of the birth condition. That's the constrictions of birth. And then there's the cathartic movement through the birth canal, which is associated with a very violent kind of transition. And then there's an opening into the world. So this is a lot not only about death and transcendence, but it's also about birth into a new being. And this is what I think psychedelic experience is about. It's about the dawn of a new way of being that is in connection with soul and spirit and the web of life, and reverences that. And that's what I think the true value of it is, and that's why I'm so grateful that you've created a show like this and a context where people can think about these things in relationship to art and life. And
My goodness, there's a question right up here.
Yeah, I have a question. I don't know if you've heard about this, but as you may know, an EEG machine is a brainwave reading device that is capable of reading a person's emotions and facial expressions. There's a video game system in the works that requires no handheld controls, but instead uses a modified EEG helmet. The gamer controls the character Kung Fu Master just by thinking, levitating objects in the direction they focus on. The sky changes color with the player's moods, so if this EEG machine can be used for a complex video game, why can't it simply be made for the benefit of an artist to make a mark in a digital tablet? So if the information of each brushstroke could be filtered, chopped, or translated into another language for the other media programs, the action of painting might sculpt, compose music, and make other works of art depending on the type of, or the kind of mode or unlocking additives that get introduced. So the art might create other art. So if these brain art extracting machines do get manufactured someday, people will be going about their daily lives creating art by thinking.
yeah, I think that's what we're always doing. You know, we're the master artists. We're creating the reality that we're surrounded by with the stories we're telling ourselves. We're the master craftsmen of stories. You know, we got a story about everything, and so we're the you know, I always think of the self as the artist. You know, because we're always in the process of creation.
We're running way over, so let's take one last question because Alex is here to do a book signing as well. Okay, I guess over here there's a...
Yay! Hi. I was wondering, what is your favorite part of the creative process?
Good question.
Can't I say all of it? You know, it's
That's consistent with your holistic view of everything else.
absolutely.
Yeah.
No, it's the I love that we live in a created cosmos, and that we're all expressions of a divine energy, and as much as we can disappear into the get into the one with the oneness, you know, we can be extensions of that creative force. And so, namaste.
Namaste. Thank you so much.
Thank you all, and thank you.